Hi everyone! Short video to show you how the in-game editor works for Outlaws and Lawmaker. Indeed, aligning textures for walls and floors, etc. can be quite slow and painful, so that's how to use this in-game editor. A few things you will need to check and configure first before using this. First of all, I would recommend configuring the game so that you'll be able to use the keyboard to view, to look left, right, up and down. This is done from within the game directly, so I'm sorry about this, I have it in French, but you'll probably be able to find the menu in English. It's under options here, then keyboard, and then for some reason now it's in English, and that's good for us. Make sure that you're using appropriate keys to turn left, turn right, look down and look up here. I just put the keyboard keys left, right, up and down, as I use the other keys, the letters, SD, etc., to move. So that way you'll be able to play without a mouse, and that's something that unfortunately you will have to do to use the in-game editor, as this one is compatible only with window modes. So you will not be able to run the game in full screen mode to use the editor. So as I just said, let me just close the game. You'll need to configure the game to launch in window mode when doing this. It's not very convenient to play, but to use the editor it's okay. Just open the configuration, it's here for me on the desktop, but you'll be able to find it in the start menu, Lucasarts configuration, here it is, and launch the game in window mode. Which is okay because you'll be able to use the keyboard to move, to view up, to look up, look down, left and right, as I just said. So let me close this. A third thing that you will need to check is within the installation path, the installation folder of the game, Lucasarts Outlaws, so that's it by default, program files Lucasarts Outlaws. If you're using the good old games version, it's probably going to be a different path. It's going to be C, then GOG, according to what I remember. So that's the old default path here. You will need this file, the alleditor.dll. If you don't have it, you can have a quick look to my website, which is palerider67.com, and the files alleditor.dll. You can download the zip file here, unzip, and copy the file to your Outlaws folder. I'll put a link to the website in the description of this video. By the way, if you have any question or comment, feel free to comment the video or send me a private message on YouTube. I'll be more than happy to answer any question there. So let's go. I'll open Lawmaker, which is the map editor. I hope you're familiar with it. That's something you will need to know before using the editor. So that's my remake of Dust 2, the Counter-Strike map to Outlaws. If you want to try it, it's available on my website as well in the map section. Let's save the map and test it. That's the map. Let me move around a little bit. There I am. It works perfectly fine, and I use the keyboard keys to view left, right, up and down. It works. It's not comfortable if I had to play like this, but it works. I will type in the cheat code, so I will type in directly here from within the game. For us, it's gonna be all-edit, so O-L-E-D-I-T. It's shooting because the L key is configured to shoot for me. This opens the Outlaws in-game editor. As you can see here, that's the one. Let's put it here on the left. That's up to you. Several features here, but the one I use the most, and I think it's really useful, is the wall editor here under editors. Wall editor. You're probably already comfortable with what an upper, middle and lower texture is. If you're not, I would definitely recommend you to go through the tutorials, the original tutorials that the Lawmaker developers probably wrote a few years ago. They are available on my website as well, and I plan on making PDF versions for everyone to be able to read it in case somebody's still making maps for the game, which would be great, really. So basically, an upper and lower texture is what you can't see unless you're using a door. So if I just have a quick look to this, for example, this would be the upper texture in my case. But that's another topic. I'll definitely recommend you to have a look to the tutorials. This, for example, is a middle texture, so it's the main texture of a wall when there is no window, no door whatsoever, no step. And if I edit it here, the middle texture, I can align it horizontally or vertically. I can put numerical values here, change the number, but I can also, let me just reopen this, I can also drag the button using the mouse for the X and Y values, or click on the little arrows. And this is very useful when you have to align texture. So depending on the kind of texture you're trying to align, it can be more or less comfortable. But let's say here I have a kind of, let's call it a nipple. I'm not sure what it really is, but I will use it as a way to find out how to align these two textures here. I will be here. I forgot to mention that you need to select the wall using a crosshair. So here this wall is selected here. I will change the middle section to align it. It's probably gonna be like this. It seems to be aligned. And then I will move it a little bit left just to align the nipple, and almost there. Doesn't work, so probably I went too far, and I'll have to take it from the other way like this, and it works. So here I'm quite lucky. This was quite easy to align, but there are some other textures that can be painful. So let's have a look to this one, which I think is the upper texture. It is. So here is how to change it, and that's great. So it doesn't look good. Now let's try to align it. This one is a little trickier because there is absolutely no way to see where I am. So I have to use some. Oh, here I found a pattern. Do you see this here and this looks quite similar? So probably it's how I will be able to align my texture. Let's align it vertically first. Probably I will need to. Oh, it's not working. It's not working anymore. What's happening? Let me just close the editor and open it again. Probably the wrong wall is selected, so let's go there. I'll edit. There, it was still open actually. There I go. Wall editor. Okay, I was trying to change the middle texture, so don't do the same mistake. We are looking for the upper texture here. Sorry about this. Okay, so here's my pattern here. Let's go. Move it a little bit left. Doesn't look too good. Let's try it. Yeah, maybe not. It seems quite okay. Maybe move up a little bit. Maybe that wasn't the right spot. I have another pattern here, the kind of bricks here, the red bricks. Let's try to use that one. Let's see if it works. Move it left a little bit. Yeah, it seems to be the right one. Still not perfect, but I think it's almost there. Okay. You can use the same features for the floors. Oh, that's the okay, the floor. So that's going to be another editor. Let's you can revert, of course. You can apply, but if you click down, it's going to apply the change as well. Editors, sector editor, that will allow us to modify a few other things, such as the floor texture, and that's how to do it. Align. Here we go. That's for the floor. Doesn't make any sense to change the alignment of this one because it's just sand ground, but you'll probably find ways to make this useful. You can align the ceiling. Now the ceiling looks totally crappy, but you will be able to align it using these buttons as well. But that's not too difficult. What else? The flags. You can change the flags if you want. So you could change the ceiling. As you know, exterior ceiling, that means it's the ceiling, the sky flag in Lawmaker. You can remove it in case you're in a building, but that's not something we want to do. The slope, you can put a slope. So let's go to a part of the map where there actually is a slope. There we go. Sorry for how the sky looks, because I actually broke it by playing with the world editor. So just make sure that you pay attention to what you do and revert changes in case you do something by mistake. So that's a floor with a slope. Let me just change the slope here. So you can see I can change the slope dynamically, and that way I won't have to go back to Lawmaker all the time to see to try to find out which slope I have to select, which value. So here I can just play like this. Let's make it a little bit faster, like that, just to make sure I align my floors from different sectors correctly, and that looks fine. There we go. So there's a few other stuff. Yeah, it looks really good. A few other things that I can show you. A few other features in Lawmaker. Sorry, in the in-game editor. There we go. You can also grab the wall to select a wall. This needs some alignment that I'll do later. That I actually already done in the final version of the map, which is not the one we are using right now. That's just some test file. Let's launch the editor again, or edit. Sector editor, wall editor. You can use the palette viewer, resource usage and rendering data. This is something that I guess was useful a few years ago to make sure to optimize the maps, to make sure that they displayed well on old computers, but that's not something I would worry about nowadays, except if you're using computers from 15 or 20 years ago. There we are. What else can I show you? Well, I think that's it basically. I know that the sector editor allows to modify a few other things, such as the light as well, which is the value called ambient in Lawmaker. So see, I decrease the light. If you want to try different values here, it's nice to have or to create a night version of the map. Friction, gravity, those are values that I never play with, but you can also change the gravity here and the friction value, elasticity. You can change the step sound if you know the name of the file. You can also have a look to the lab files in the game. Floor elevations, that's where you can play with the Y value of the floor. That's not very nice. Let's keep it like this. Sailing height, it's the same. You can change the sailing height without modifying it by hand in Lawmaker. That's a thickness. That's something that will allow you to modify a few sectors, thickness of walls. I haven't played too much with that one, but you could change it if you want. Let's put it 22 instead of 18 and see what it does. Doesn't change anything in our case. I saw some cases where it would actually change the sides of some walls, but anyway. And slope, we already saw this. Flags, you already know what it is. Yeah, well, that's it basically. So one thing that you shouldn't forget is, even if you close the editor, you can always open it again, but if you close the game, you lose all your changes, because when you edit the file, it doesn't apply the modifications to the file directly, and that's very important. So what you need to do is to save the file here in save fixup file. And you can also select walls from here directly from the little map you have here. That's good to know. So editors, save fixup file. It's not going to prompt for anything. From there you can quit the game, which is what I'm going to do. Have a look to the folder where you installed the game, which is Lucasarts Outlaws for me. And here you will have a file saved by the editor. And I don't find it. Here it is. NFU. So if you go to Lawmaker and you open your file, we already have it. You will have under the project, you will have apply fixup file, and you will be able to look for the right file. For me, it's dust2.nfu in my Outlaws folder here. I will apply the fix by either double clicking or opening. Here it's the same, and no confirmation message. I've seen systems where it's confirmed that it has been applied, and then when you save your map again and you launch it, it will have the changes applied. So it doesn't change anything to the it doesn't add file or add information. It basically updates the information dynamically according to what you did during the in-game editor and during the session, and you will see these changes applied here in the actual sector settings and world settings, etc. So let's say I would have removed some flags here, such as the sky flag, this one. If I had removed it in the in-game edition and then save and apply the fixup file, it would have been gone here as well. Just one thing, you might find painful to edit floors on crates because the crate doesn't align with the rest. So of course you can use the in-game editor, but there is a trick. If you put a slope flag on the floor for crates, it will align the texture automatically, and that's very good to know. Let's say this one, for example. Let me just select a crate somewhere. So that's a crate, and the texture is in the line. It always happens when you move when you change the angle of the crate, that the texture are not aligned. Actually, if you and the flags, if you add floor sloped flag, but you leave the values to 0, of course, unless you want your crate to be sloped, then the texture will align dynamically, automatically. It's probably not a feature, it's probably a bug, or a bug which becomes useful. I think it's called a hack, but it's very good to know, and this will save you probably a few hours if you create a map with several crates. I hope this helps, and feel free to ask any question, and have fun creating Outlaws maps if somebody out there still does it. And yeah, that's it. Contact me if you're up for a game one of these days. Cheers, thank you, thanks for watching, bye.